Once upon a time, there was a pastor, and he was on the verge of a nervous breakdown. And so finally, they prevailed on him to go see a therapist and, get some help, right? And so he went into the psychologist, and he sat down. The psychologist asked him, "Well, how many hours a day are you working?" And the pastor said, "Well, probably 18 hours a day. There's so much to do." And they talked for a while, and the therapist at the end said, "Listen, this is what I want you to do. Come back to me in 2 weeks, but in the meantime, cut down to just 8 hours a day of work and spend the rest of the time just quietly with yourself, relaxing and, reflecting. Okay?" Well, the pastor said, "Well, I'm too busy for that and I really can't, but all right, I'll give it a try." And so the first week, the pastor decided to pick up a whole bunch of books that he had been wanting to read for a long time. So he sat there and he read through all these books and did a lot of study. And at the end of that week, he had pretty much finished all the books that he had lined up to read. So the next week, he decided that he was going to spend that extra time studying classical music. So he got all the recordings of Beethoven and Mozart, and he went through it systematically, listening to all the concertos and so on, all through that week. And he went back to the psychologist, and he asked him how it was. And he says, "Well, I feel worse." "And what did you do?" And he said, "Well, first week I studied all these books and I got them all out of the way. And then I learned all about classical music." And the therapist said to him, "That's not really what I meant. I meant for you to spend time with yourself, reflecting on yourself and your life." And the pastor looked at him and he said, "Who would want to do that? I wouldn't want to spend all that time just thinking about myself." And the therapist said to him, "You see, this is what you've been doing to everybody else for 18 hours a day. You've been inflicting yourself on them." And he began to think about it. And there's probably nobody who had more stress in his life than Jesus. He had enemies everywhere trying to kill him. But Jesus would go off to a quiet place to pray. And he would always hear the voice of the Father. "You are my beloved Son." And that's the path to renewal for all of us too. All of us need to take that time to be able to listen to God. And that'll give us the peace of soul that we need. So let's start now. Cut down a little bit. And instead of listening to everyone else, listen to God and hear those words. If you like this video, make sure you like it down below and then share it with your family and friends. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.